Sri, you off your mic first. Later I call you, then you open your mic.大家晚上好，我们的活动还到30秒，我们即将会开始了。请您现在可以把这一个节目可以 share 去给你的朋友、企业朋友，或者想要更了解连锁业隐藏什么商机与前景，那现在您就可以马上的 share 去给您的朋友一起来听。那在这同时，您也可以在亚洲企业 Facebook 可以把它 share 去给更多的朋友，这个网站亚洲企业品牌杂志的 Facebook share 这个 live 的 link share 去给您的企业朋友们一起来听听。好的，大家晚间好，非常的开心您在这线上哈，今天是一个好时好日晚上的时间，那大家应该吃饱饭了哈。在这个吃饱饭的时候，我们要来一起来学习，来听听我们一位非常成功的企业家兼会长跟我们分享哈。那今天这个环节呢，是由亚洲企业品牌媒体集团第3集的亚洲企业共享正能量 Asia Success Share Positive Energy 的第3集。那今天要跟大家分享的就是连锁。那大家想到的连锁就是 retail 连锁。那今天呢，我们亚洲企业非常的荣幸邀请到我们的想要连锁想到谁呢？想到我们的大哥，对不对？就是我们的马来西亚连锁协会的总会长，我们的 Dato Sri Gary Chua MRCA 的 President Dato Sri Gary Chua 来到我们的线上，跟我们所有的企业朋友们一起来分享哦。那 Let's welcome our Dato Sri Gary Chua. You can on your mic. Yes, thank you. Good.
Yes, a very happy evening. 大家晚上好，大家朋友晚上好。So, you like to ask some questions? Can't hear,
okay,
no?
Because of yeah, very clear. Yes, good.
Now it's okay.
Now it's good. Okay, yeah. That's right. Have you taken your dinner?
Yes, of course.
Thank you so much. We know that now is already so more than 1 month. Everyone stay at home, then cook themselves. So thinking about how we want to increase our more business, right? So in this moment, in this moment, very beautiful moment, we invite Dr. Sri Gary to share with us some opportunity we can see in this retail industry. So there is a few questions we'd like to ask for Dr. Sri. So we can say that for this world retail market development and opportunity, how Dr. Sri Gary can see this world retail market development and opportunity?
You see, during this time, there'll be many retailers and SMEs or business sectors were closed, you see. For example, are facing very strong challenges. For example, even Virgin Airlines, I mean, Richard Branson has been in business for 40 years. And just overnight, you see, his company is for sale. And Australia, they're going for administration. That means like offer for whoever wants to take over. And of course, even Air Asia locally, they can last only probably 5 to 6 months or so. And many even other retailers like Esprit, they're closing up. And overseas, many others as well. See. So this is a very something unprecedented, something extraordinary, as I said earlier, that it's not easy for anybody to succumb or to circumvent or to face this challenge. You see. So it's something we have to be very alert about, see how we can move forward, to see how we can look at opportunities. Of course, when the weaker ones will be taken over probably by the stronger ones. For example, Virgin in Australia, probably there's some stronger parties will take over. Even locally, Malaysian Airlines, probably there'll be some mergers or some other stronger parties will take over as well. These are opportunities for those with cash. There are still a lot of fund managers who are very strong, have a lot of cash. So these are some of these investors probably can come in as opportunities. Even downtown like now, you look at some of the shares in US, for example, Amazon and Netflix has a record, having a record in terms of level of shares. Why? Because Amazon now, everybody have a lockdown. So online will be the thing, is it? Everybody will be using online. See? And then, of course, Netflix is specialized in games. So if you are not outside, you probably stay at home to play games. You see? Similar to Tencent. Tencent also derive about 40% of the income from also the games. You see? So these are some of the opportunities for some of the big players. But of course, for a lot of small players, it's very challenging time. Many probably will fall up as even the survey locally here, SME, FMM, and even Wistage CEO Club, they have mixed surveys that there'll be a big retrenchment, you see, up to maybe by May or June, the next couple of months, you see, even FMM, they're talking about 30% of the companies will be retrenching staff. Wistage, they're talking about 42% of the CEOs will be retrenching their staff as well. Then you look at the world stage, YPO, the Young Presidents Organization, they also make a survey they have about 300,000 members. You see. Even this association, all the members are bosses, are CEOs. You see. They're talking about 18% of them will be closing their company in a way. So the other 50%, 50-50 balance of them, they are unsure, ambivalent about their situation. So this is something very, very different, very, very extraordinary, because you can't tell the difference between 1 week and 1 month, you see, in the sense of the situation. You see, even IMF in January, they talk about world growth. This year we have a positive world growth. And just within a few months away, now that IMF is talking about negative growth for the first time since the depression of the 1930s. So this is something we have to take note and take heed. Everyone have to prepare for something very drastic. You have to prepare for the worst, and this is something we can't escape. And of course, there are other opportunities like online, many people will be going to online business, capitalizing. Even like some of the personalities that they're doing a lot of online talks and lessons and other sharing. That is also one way they can make some income from that. And these are changes in the world, and even like China, you see, many of the companies, they cannot survive. They diversify into medical supplies, making masks and sanitizers and other ventilators. You see. So this is a time where you need to be adaptable and also versatile. You cannot just focus 100% unless you have. Now you're talking about medical supplies, unless you're talking about selling gloves. gloves that are working 24 hours a day to keep up with the demand, and of course other supplies like medical supplies as well. So the world will be very different once this situation is over, and people will be doing things very differently as well as distancing, hygiene will be something very, very important. And when we talk about this, of course, the world market will be different. When you have, let's say, distancing, definitely the sales or the turnover of the retail or the business sector will be reduced drastically as well. But what about paying the rentals and all this? What about the workers? So these are again new challenges. So the world will be very, very different. So we have to look at it in a very dynamic manner and think out of the box how to survive this through. Even Jack Ma the day mentioned, if you can survive this crisis, it's like a big profit, like a bonus. He was saying something like that. You get what I mean? Even to survive this crisis is to survive and come up out of it strong. It'd be like a bonus. So these are very really words that we have to take heed of. And most of the government of the world today looking at this very seriously. That's why you look at Euro, they're pumping billions of euro, and also America, they're pumping trillions. And even Singapore, our neighbors, and China, they're pumping billions and trillions even to make sure they stay afloat in the economy. Because after this, it's one thing, it's about cash flow. The injection of cash into the marketplace. That means the economy needs to run. Everything needs to be, in a way, all by cash again, by money. Like you see, like now the prices of oil has even gone negative. That is something first time in the world, probably. Of course, there are some countries taking advantage. Those have cash, like China, they can keep buying a lot for their reserves. But these have that very telling effects on the world oil and gas industry. Like Malaysia, you see, most of the oil and gas industry probably would have half gone or gone already. Except those who do maintenance and repair, like Dialog, which is something different. This company, very special, still holding strong in the share. Like most of them are just doing oil and gas. They probably have run short of business. Again, these are things we have to really look at. Those who are financially strong, this will be a great time for them to acquire the weaker ones or acquire. Those companies have future opportunities. Even they may go down today, you take over, and then you can grow that particular company. And of course, on the retail side as well, see, if there are many other brands that gone down, those remaining brands can go from strength to strength. They can even take over these weaker ones, or they can go from strength to strength to take over more market share and building a stronger platform for their own brands, you see. While the competitors is down, you actually will be gaining more and more market share. These are some of the opportunities I can see that will be happening.
Yeah. Thank you, President. I know that nowadays my President Dr. Sri Gary, English very good and Mandarin is very good because interviewed by many Mandarin media also So 我们可不可以请我们 Dr. Sri Gary 来讲一些很简单的中文，告诉我们说，刚才讲的是英文嘛，告诉我们说现在这个世界连锁业的这一个市场的发展趋势与商机，商机 means opportunity， 简单就好。刚才我们听到有这个 Amazon， 有 Jack Ma， 有马云，对。
Yeah. No, you just repeat in Mandarin. I don't think I can.
就是说刚才我们Dr. Sri说，他说现在这个 MCO 其实会有50%，对吗？50%以上的这个企业可能会面临倒闭那也有50%的企业，它也要在这个 struggle 着所以其实这个时候呢，就是说。现金流是最重要的。如果你有现金流的话，你就可以去看看哪一个企业你可以去做投资的，哪一个企业你可以去看怎样做的。因为说现在你看最大的最好做的，除了口罩和这一个洗手液那手套 也真的不容易。我相信我有3个朋友已经跟我说，哎，我要买这个手套我中国客户要订2个million的，你有朋友介绍吗？当然你去问 Top Glove， 他跟你说6个月后，那你问其他的一些商家，他也是跟你说要5到6个月后，所以现在已经是 demand 太多了。demand 太多了 ，supply 来不及，even 都24小时他也来不及做，对吗？Dr. Sri Gary，24 hours also cannot supply the stock because too many demands. Not only Malaysia but it's all overseas. Yeah. Okay. Next, I would like to ask Dr. Sri Gary 说，您看到啊，其实这个 after 这个 MCO 啊 ，after 这个疫情过后啊，会不会影响整个国际连锁企业的发展呢？ English is I just mentioned in English a bit it's mentioned that after MCO will affect the world retail business model.
Of course, this will be a very drastic change in the world in terms of the new norms they call it. You see, Jack Ma also mentioned the new norm will be also you see just I mentioned about digital, talking about online. You see, the last century we talk about electricity. That was the thing that came about, as Jack Ma mentioned. But this coming century will be probably all talking about internet and digital. So we have to be mindful that digital and online. So internet will be playing a very, very major part of our life, including like even you see like the 5G and all those coming. So all these are changing our way of life. So it'll be very, very, very different when these technologies come on board, and when it actually seeps into our life, become our daily sort of part of our life, whether it's at home or whether you're at work or even at play. So this be the dynamism that be changing. And then of course world retail, you talk about world retail or even business, everything will become very experiential and what you call it, interactive. People want to be interactive and part of it. Why people play games? Because they can interact with the games, you see, right? You can be alone, but the games can interact with you. That will make you excited to sort of, you can learn things, or you can sort of spend your time in a way to, it's like a leisure as well, or to learn something. So these are things that is changing the world. And of course, post MCO, we talk about the first thing we talk in mind is talking about hygiene now. People talk about you have to wear masks. I think wearing masks will be like a norm. Like Japan, actually, it's very common. Even normal days, if you're not well or you feel that you don't feel good, you just wear a mask. You can see quite a lot of people in the train, the high-speed train or the train, people wearing masks in Japan, even normal days. So this could be a norm. And of course, distancing, we will not be sitting too close to each other. And we have to wash our hands and sanitize our place, the workers, the chef, the whoever handling whatever products, So this will be a norm as well to in the changing world. And of course, this has also have implication. When you have distancing, in a way, probably you can't have so many sort of customers probably coming to your shops or in your restaurant. So this will also have telling effects on your result, on your sales. But what about the rental? This is another challenge. Will your landlord giving you extra rebates just because of this downsizing of customers, or is it going to be the same? And these are some of the issues we have to think about. And of course, what you call it? These are no more a norm, I mean, a new norm that we have to adapt. And these are the things we have to be mindful in the coming years and months ahead.
Yeah, actually, it's not easy to overcome all the challenge, as we know that. Yeah. Actually, the next one, people nowadays, just like you mentioned about digital or online. So, what do you think? 连锁店可不可以就是突围线上模式呢？ Means that is it the retail industry can in the online business model? What do you think?
Retail, in the future of retail, the landscape of retail have changed drastically. to be successful in the future, you must go online, both online and offline. That means you must have online and brick and mortar shops, you know, if you have to long-term sustainable business. I think that is important. As you can see in America, Amazon have physical stores, you know, and even Walmart, they have their hypermarket, but they also bought over online company, Jet.com, and even Jack Ma also have a physical store. Herma, I see the special what you call it, fresh market shop they have, and many others. So these are changing what you call it, the changing trend of retail. So you need to go online and offline, because people even online want to feel the physical presence of your product, you know, and that's where artificial intelligence, AI, and also virtual reality and all this comes in. Even in Dubai, there are fashion shop where you have people using virtual reality, and even the cinema now they're using it and using AI, you know, artificial intelligence to have more interaction, so people feel excited about buying the product. And even you can even buy, let's say online, certain fashion, you can even choose the color, you know, the size and all this, with even through the smartphone. These are things happening already. So it's important that we have to look at the changing world to keep up with this.
是，世界都在改变了，你还不改变，你还等几时呢？对不对啊？那认同我这句话的，请打一个1。如果你认同我讲这句话的，请打一个1。世界都在改变了，您不再改变，你还在等什么呢？所以我们一起来学习线上分享哦。今天我们是非常感恩我们的 Dr. Surya。
Yeah, maybe I can give you an example. One of our members has done very well in terms of online. Is Senhing, is it? Senhing is just like how we normally selling electrical products, but they have somehow rather build up a very strong data. You know, probably 1 million customers or so. So with this, you see, like during downturn now, they use these numbers. They train their staff to do telemarketing, to call all these customers. Of course, when you call me, definitely you tend to buy something, right? Right? If your supplier, you know, the shop suddenly call you, and then would you like to buy something? I'm sure you like to support a bit. You may buy even a small item, and then you may end up buying more and more.
Yes, maybe hair dryer, maybe shaver.
Yes. So the continuity of business is still there. So that means you're still keeping a physical, at least an online contact with your customers. I think that is very important in terms of marketing. You build up your presence, even at this difficult time. You build up your presence, so your branding will go up. This is another opportunity that online can do. Online is very powerful, and online is something you also cut down a lot of costs. In fact, there are some pharmacies, shops of friends who instead of 10 shops, they cut down to a few shops, and their sales still maintain. You see, after over a year, the sales still maintain. But in terms of costs, in terms of overheads, it's gone down drastically, easily by 30% or so. So these are some of the interesting things we have to look at. So after post-COVID, I'm sure more and more people will be using digital and online, and all this new technology. Even the old folks have to use it. Last time we see online sales, we talk about millennials are normally the ones who buy through online. But now you can see that a lot of the old folks, they have no choice, you know. Even like Zoom, a lot of people do not know how to use Zoom, but now suddenly you learn how to use Zoom.
Just click on, you can see all the face.
These are interesting things. So in terms of meeting also, you use Zoom more, you probably don't have to even go to the office so often, or you can even work at home, is it? These are some of the advantages about online and digital.
So should we say we appreciate this MCO? Of course, they will bring us a fun and a learning stage. Of course, for entrepreneurs, they were facing a lot of a challenge. We need to overcome as well. That's why we mentioned that as always we need to keep positive thinking. 正能量可以让我们 overcome 很多的事情哦。我相信我们的会长 Dr. Sri Gary 也是一个很正能量、很 positive energy 的一个人哈。 好，我们继续的守候我们的这一个节目哦。待会我们的会长会送出10张我们的现金 voucher， 让你可以在 MCO 过后可以去享用的 Chucky Palace 的 cash voucher 哦。再次我们感谢我们的总会长哦，请你 stay 到我们的最后的时间，那我们就会把这 cash voucher 送上给你，然后最后我一定会看到要 hashtag I love Chucky Palace。OK， 好，我们再继续我们的总会长刚才跟我们说的，就是连锁业可不可以线上这个模式哦？那我们来讲一下说这个，我们来讲说啊，这个在疫情啊这个阶段啊，我们讲说餐饮业嘛，现在餐饮业其实是应该一般上对我不是做餐饮来讲，我觉得餐饮业很好做，为什么呢？因为它只是可以做打包就可以了嘛，对不对？但是不是每个餐饮业都一样可以做得那么好的，所以我们来问问我们的大多数一下关于这一个就是how does the retail market doing, especially the restaurant chain, and how can it make itself stand out during MCO?
Today, F&B, that means restaurants and pubs, probably is the fastest growing in the retail industry. You can see every month there are hundreds of new restaurants and pubs coming up. So this is a fast-moving industry among the retail. And you look at, for example, you see most of the malls, last time used to have about 25-30% in terms of F&B restaurant outlets, but now they've increased from 30, 40, some even exceeded 50% of the malls are putting up F&Bs to attract people. Because Malaysian, even generally in Singapore, people likes to go out and eat and enjoy, have some food and fun, is it? So this is one growing sector that is very important, and it's probably one of the biggest employer of staff as well, because it's labor intensive, is it? And Malaysia have a lot to offer in terms of F&B. So one of the area that the restaurant can do, even before the MCO, many have already started doing what you call it, online orders through, for example, Grab and Food Panda. But it's challenging. Yeah, but their business have gone up more than 10 times, I was told, during this MCO. But the thing is that the fees, the charges are very high. It's about 30% or so for each restaurant or pubs. So it's very difficult to make money from through these channels. So it's basically just probably for promotion and just to build up the sales, just to keep your staff, you see, during this difficult period. But most of the restaurants also can't survive just with online, because you see, if you tapao and going to the restaurant, it's two different things. You go to the restaurant, especially fine dining, you order a la carte, and then you will probably open a bottle, you know. And if you tapao, you probably have chicken rice or fried rice or fried noodle, and plus a little bit here and there. So there's no appetizer or big main course or desserts to go about. So end up, instead of 300 ringgit, you probably will spend 30, 40 ringgit. You get what I mean? So online can help, but it will not, at the same time, now, it will not build up to the kind of sales you expect. Most of our members I've checked also, probably up to 10, and some maybe 20% if they're lucky. Most of them about 10%, but if you have 20% or even more, you are very lucky. Even
10% on what sales? On sales?
Of their original sales, of their normal sales.
Oh.
So let's say you're doing, say, 200,000, you probably do about 20,000, or 30,000, that kind of thing. So it's difficult to even cover your staff costing and your chef and all this. So end up, many of them also close for the during this MCO period, except those like burgers, fast food, they're still doing very well. So those are some of the trends that is happening. But of course, there'll be more and more people ordering online in the future. So online will be playing increasingly important. People may have the habit of in future just order online. Of course, this sector will keep going up, but it takes longer time to build up. But no way it can catch us up the same type of business or sales as like dining in the restaurants or having fun in the pub. And that is the trend. I can see that.
So 所以你的意思是说 even though 是一个 restaurant 它开营它不一定是赚钱的，反而可能是亏的，所以他们最后宁愿是把这一个 restaurant 把它关上，在这个 during MCO， 因为他可能开了还不一定赚钱，为什么？因为这个 delivery 的他可能 charge 他38仙，那一般上去 restaurant 的可能他消费200-300块，可是因为 MCO 嘛，你不可能庆祝啊，吃 oyster 啊，吃蚝嘛，吃虾嘛，你一定是比较简单的，可能是打包炒饭啊、炒面等等，可能逢300块的这个生意，可能他只是消费40块，所以对每一个人打包40块的生意来说，可能对一些做一些餐饮业的老板，他可能不能就是他的那个 operation cost 不够cover，是这样的意思吗？Dr. Sri Gary?
Yes. You look at this MCO. You look at Jakarta alone, our neighbor. There's one big chain of restaurant, Ismaya. They close all their 60 outlets. They close 60 outlets. They say
60间啊。
Yeah, 60 outlets. They may or may not reopen. If they reopen, probably maybe downsize to 10% or 20% or 30%. You get what I mean? So it's very challenging because when you don't have sales and you have many staff, you have to keep the chef. So and then on top of that, you have to pay big rentals and then government statutories and all those. So it's almost impossible to survive. Just like many of the F&Bs, our friends now, all having a hard time. That's why we are urging the government to open this sector as soon as possible. For example, even in overseas now, they allow you to open the restaurant, but even in Italy, they allow you to open it, but you have a strict SOP. Probably each table, if it's a smaller table, maximum 2 packs. If a bigger table, maximum like Hong Kong 4 packs. And then you have to line up, you have to sanitize the place, and probably you have to wear. Yes, distancing. That's the whole thing, you see. Because of the MCO and the lockdown, and also, I mean, this period, the virus, this pandemic period, and also the previous protests in Hong Kong, you look at them, I was told probably 70% of the restaurants are probably going to be closed or have closed, So even some of the biggest restaurants in Hong Kong have closed. So this is something very difficult. Even Melbourne, one of the very old Chinese restaurant in Chinatown, 30-year-old restaurant just closed, and then beside it was a Japanese Giza restaurant or something like that, which I've been before, probably may also close. So you see, this pandemic overnight can change, can transform so many business, just turn it upside down, and you can be the best of business person, but it's not easy. This challenge, this kind of challenges, is something extraordinary. It's beyond our control in a way, is it? So it's something we really have to have deep thought. What should we take in the next step? I believe many of our members and retailers already start planning to scale down, minimum 20%. You see, with this situation, it's not just about now. You're talking about the next 6 to 12 months. Can you survive now? You can't survive the next 6 to 12 months. Better close it or scale down. I think that is the best. What you call it? Situation.
最好的方法，最好的一个做法。
Even you see in many of the countries after opening, even like China, you see, only certain sectors like some products. I think Hermès, this is very famous. Of course, one day they did a record sales. What about other items in the retail? It does not score the same kind of sales, is it? So most of them would take a long time, probably about 12 months before you go back to normalcy. And with the distancing, no way you can get the original sales. And no way you can get these original sales you are doing. Let's say last time you've been doing $300,000 or $500,000 a month. You have to expect probably going to drop at least 30% or so because of the distancing policy, and also other expenses going to come into play. So we have to prepare ourselves for all the retail and also people in the SME. You can't survive next 6 to 12 months. You have to ask yourself, it's best that we scale down, or certain outlets where it's not making money, or the location is wrong, or the OS is very high. So it's good that we take a review and relook at this situation so that we will not be caught, because this pandemic is something not so simple. Even Australia have not got a recession for 20 over years. I used to go to Australia. There's no recession in Australia for the past 20 years. But this time, they're talking about the worst ever in their 100-year-old history in Australia. They're expecting to be the worst. Can you imagine a strong country, economically strong country, just overnight can tell us this story? Can you imagine? So this will tell us a lot of deeper stories in the coming months to come. So we have to be very aware that and get ourselves prepared, mentally. So you have to prepare for the worst. Of course, you can hope for the best and pray for the best, but you have to prepare for the worst. I think that is the thing is very important in all our minds now. Except you are doing a godly business like now, selling gloves and medical supplies or health products. Health products also during this period, many of my friends' company have went up by 200% because people are worried about pandemic, so they want to build up their immune. They take more vitamins and other supplements. So this is an opportunity for some of these companies, but for others, it's hellish.
是，所以我们说啊，机会永远给有准备的人。刚才我们的Dr. Gary 有提到说啊，可以在这个3到6个月里面啊，你可以就是还可以 survive 的话，真的是很不简单的。因为刚才还有跟我们形容说，在这个欧洲啊 Australia 一个20年都没有任何经济大问题的，一夜之间就把很多企业弄垮了。所以啊，他告诉我们说，一定要就是说这个时候啊，就是一定要准备自己要准备了。比如说你如果是有很多间店面的，可能你要缩小来做。那如果你可能是有很多这一些不同的太大的一些地方的话，可能你要另外调整缩小那个 scale 来做，这样子可能会帮助到你的这个企业，不然的话你对于这个企业的负担是太重的。那我还想起我一个朋友，我们的罗教授跟我说啊，他说啊，你可以 stay 到12月啊，到 Christmas 啊，到12月啊，你就是叫胜者为王。那都属于胜者的意思，就是说不是剩下的胜啊，是victory 胜利的胜者为王。就是说你可以留到今年的12月你的生意还有在，你的企业还有在的话，你就是胜者为王。所以在这边真的
just like Jack Ma said 啦 ，just like Jack Ma said，Jack Ma said。
所以在这边所有的企业朋友们，我们真的就是这个时候就是让我们自己要调整我们的心态，把我们的心沉淀下来，让思考一下我们的企业要走怎样的路，未来的路我们要怎样走。可能我们以前就不能回去以前的时候可以赚很多了，现在我们就是除了缩小，可能我们还可以把它线上化，看什么生意可以把它线上化。不是每个生意都不能做的，像刚才Dr. Sri他的 member 有一个就是做那个 medical 的，做 health 的，他的生意额成长280年啊，那这是很够力的，所以他的眼光非常好。那时候他就看中了这个行业所以没有关系的，行行出状元，只要我们可以挨下来，还可以呼吸，还可以挨下来的话，我们还是可以的，所以我们一定要一起来 fight 过去对。好 ，Thank you 我们Dr. Sri Gary。还有就是说，我们这边提到的就是马来西亚商家可否透过连锁的模式，在未来的3年复制那个业绩？Meaning the question is, can Malaysia business replicate their performance in the next 3 years through the retail model?
You see, the Malaysian entrepreneurs and business people are very resilient, very hardy, I would say, and very entrepreneurial and hardworking. I believe all of them will sail through. Those who have passed this MCO, I'm sure they will come back in a very, very strong way and do even much better in the coming 3 years for the Malaysian entrepreneurs. Because as I mentioned, many of them have gone through a lot of hardship. And they started, even especially our retail chain and SMEs friends, many of them started very small. Even Pokong, you see, started with half a shop. And today, look at Pokong, the size of it. Even look at the Focus Point. Started with just a small kiosk in Muar many years ago. And look at them, there are how many outlets. So everyone who are successful today in the retail and SME, they actually started very, very small. So they know the hardship. But this now is this is a setback, but it's a temporary setback. You have to scale down. But many of the business people or the entrepreneurs will come back in a much stronger way, I believe, in the coming 3 years. And of course, with this lesson, many of them would know how to sort of rationalize costs in a better manner and do future planning. And cash is king, so we must always preserve some cash. But this time around, I mean, it just caught too many people by surprise. Even you prepare the cash, I've spoken to some of the even big companies. Many of them do not keep the kind of cash for this kind of situation.
I also
many
know
of,
cash money.
You see, so many of them will keep cash for expansion and other expenses, So, but not for this kind of situation. So that's why they make a survey. Many companies, and today Malaysia SME consists about 98.5% of the companies in Malaysia.
Oh, Malaysia SME. Sorry, sorry. Just now, Michael Kang through the Facebook saying that request you to speak in Mandarin. 你要讲中文，他在 Facebook 讲你要讲中文了，所以你要讲 simple 的中文 plus English。SME 会长，灿灿啦，你的中文很好听的。来，我们单头的都属于 Gary 讲中文的，来给大家一个赞，给一个 good，在我们的 comment 来。
我们马来西亚做生意的人，每个是很棒的。我觉得这在这个3年里面，我们一定会倒回来做了更强的、更棒。So I think that's important. We have to be very resilient and have to be very perseverant, like most of us are doing. Is it? As I mentioned, also tough time never lasts. Only tough people do. So those who pass this MCO, I believe many will do. We will definitely become much stronger and even more successful in the coming years after the next 3 years. But on condition that the government will have to do a lot of post-COVID action plan, which today we have a meeting with MITI, and MITI have outlined that there'll be a lot of action taken by the government. But the details we do not know yet. Of course, on our side, we have given a lot of inputs to the government. It's up to the government also to gel up some strong and drastic, unprecedented, out-of-the-box ideas. You see, for any downturn or depression, there's only one thing that can pull the basic thing to pull an economy up. You see, for example, during the post-war, Second World War. After Second World War, nobody has much money left. So what happens was, many of them took a post-World War II bond. When you have bond means each country will take a bond, a big bond perhaps, and then that bond will use it to stimulate the economy by pumping money. The main thing is to pump money into the economy. So when more money in the economy, people will spend more, and then the whole economy will self-generating. That is very important. But how to bring money into the economy? Very important. It could be from foreigners coming to the country, for example, foreign direct investment. Or those companies also very successful here, they can do also reinvestment. So the government have to give like tax break, tax-free for next 3-5 years. That's one thing. Then the other thing is tourism. We can encourage local tourism. People spend money, to generate income locally, and also, most importantly, bring the foreign tourists to Malaysia. That's where you got foreign exchange. You bring, for example, the biggest market I can see today is still China. We cannot escape from China in the sense the Chinese are the biggest spenders. They still have, despite the big setback in China, they probably about 50 million people in China will be unemployed now. But there's still a big chunk of the people in China still have a lot of disposable income and money to spend, just like they're spending buying properties in Australia, in Europe, and everywhere. So these are some of the things we have to do to generate the economy back to its normalcy. And of course, there are many other things the government can do also. Besides that, like for example, we have a lot of GLC, government-linked companies like Khazanah.
Oh, Dr. Sri, you are mentioned now is like what government can help, is it? Okay, you touched the question already. Okay, just.
And also PNB and all those, and Sime Darby, and even perhaps like LTAT, Baustek Group. All these companies jointly, they probably have about $2 trillion assets or reserve. So these companies can actually, for example, buy over or support some of the industry or companies that is weaker, but are promising in the promising industry or promising companies. Or they can bring in new things like, for example, the COVID vaccine. Bring this COVID vaccine to be manufactured in Malaysia. If government give a tax break, say 10 years, no tax. So this will encourage people to come to Malaysia to invest. And these are good things, you see. So when you have more money coming to Malaysia, more employment, more activities, that's where the economy will boom also. And of course, we also talk about digital. Last time we have the digital free trade zone. I think the government should also further work further on this and upskill whatever our workers so that they'll be more prepared for the coming challenges, you see. And not forgetting the SMEs, and the retailers. Government should give a very strong boost into this area by giving, for example, getting the banks to give soft loans to all these retailers and SMEs, so that easy soft loans with low interest, could be like 2% or so. So these retailers and SMEs can do expansion in a big way, in a bigger way, with more confidence and all this. And then automation for factories as well. Give some incentive or deduction on the tax for automation, or even tax breaks, if you, let's say, automate your factories. And these are some of the suggestions I think will help to boost the economy and bring back life to Malaysia in the quickest and the fastest period. I think that is important. You're talking about not just about action locally, but also action overseas to bring in and give confidence to investors and tourists, and perhaps they can also come buy properties. And another sector which is lacking now in Malaysia, I observe, is also the education level. We used to have lots of foreign students in Malaysia, and now it's disappearing. And despite the quality of education in Malaysia is still very good, so, and this is another area I think the government must also put in a lot of efforts, because when you have students just like in Australia, education is one of their biggest foreign exchange. In fact, it's the third biggest foreign exchange of 30 billion USD. That is about how many trillion or so, is it? I mean, no, more than 100 billion in terms of ringgit, is it? So you can see that this is another big area, can bring a lot of foreign exchange and also activities to Malaysia. When they come here, don't forget, they also would like to buy properties, just like in Australia and UK, and even especially even New Zealand. A lot of the students study there, their parents go and buy land, buy properties, and invest in the country. So these are things that will activate and help the country to move forward.
Yeah. Wow. I think that a lot of these government grant we can also can apply. Depends on entrepreneur, they want to apply or not. So actually last week our SME Malaysia President Dr. Michael also share some information, but not details. Dr. Michael 你在线上我们亚洲企业的这个读者和客户们他要求你再讲比较清楚一点的 ，OK？ 所以我们要讲清楚一点，怎样申请，可以申请和怎样申请是另外一回事OK, thanks. So another two question, Dr. Sri Gary here is like, what kind of chain industry can break through after the MCO?
What type of industry can break through? Yeah, what sense you're saying?
What type of retail industry will break through after the MCO?
You mean will do well, is it, or do recover?
What kind of business? What kind of retail business can break through? Can make more business breakthrough?
Oh, I see.
我的中文不好。什么样的类型的连锁行业可以在 MCO 过后更 outstanding 的？可能很多年轻人想要创业，他现在要看好，不敢乱创业，所以他在问 Dr. Sri Gary what kind of retail 的 business 可以就是在 after MCO 过后我可以去做这个生意的。
You see, well, as I mentioned just now,
讲中文。
As I mentioned just now, the opportunity comes from health and wellness area. Is it? Health products is always growing. Health products. You ask many of our even multi-level companies, they are doing extremely well. Health products, because it's forever growing. Every year, people will be spending more money on health products. And that's why wellness and health is something ever growing, is it? Evergreen. And medical tourism. Medical tourism after this, I think is another big area. See, Thailand is the biggest in terms of medical tourism. But Malaysia is the fastest. Last year, we're talking about 16-17% growth. So we are the fastest growing. So in terms of medical tourism, that is another area. Like it could be stem cell, could be fertility, could be anything that can bring in tourism. That will be important. These are some of the sectors I can foresee will be evergreen and keep growing. And for, of course, F&B, there's always opportunities. If you're unsure, it's good to bring in franchising, a franchise brand from overseas. I think that's important, is it? So these are some of the opportunities I can see for the retail side. And fashion is always very challenging. Padini is a very exception. Probably is the only local brand that is thriving. Of course, now they're still, they also have to face some challenges during this MCO period. But it's one of the local brands that really survived and did very well. They have more than $1 billion sales a year. And the bottom line looks very good, I think. And some other areas like home living, all those are very challenging. It's not easy to survive.
Yes, correct.
F&B still got some good opportunity. You can bring in some good brands if you're not sure about the local here. Bring some good brands from overseas and see whether there's a market here. Probably you can grow it and make still some good money here. I mean, those who have some capital. Right? And this kind of situation is good to rationalize and cut costs and trim our costs and also conserve cash. At this moment, no matter how little cash you have, conserve it. I think it's very important to survive and to buy through this difficult period.
Conserve it, 存起来是吗？不要乱乱花钱是吗？
Yes. Don't simply spend.
Okay.
You only spend on the necessity like food, not even on clothing or other things, unless you have a lot to spend. You have a lot to spend.
是了，我已经好几个月没有买衣服了。OK，Thank you。刚才我们的 Dr. Gary 有跟我们说到，他听到他这个重点嘛，他说，什么行业是可以往这个生意做，就是 health and wellness 就是这个保健的这个领域，还有这一个 medical tourism 的领域。所以在座的企业朋友们，如果你想要做新的生意行业的话，无妨可以去看看这一个行业，可能可以让你可以就是再更多桶金当然我们还没有到最后一个 question 的时候，我们就看看我们线上的朋友线上的朋友们在这边呢，因为也感谢你留到最后那请您来hashtag 一下hashtag I love Chucky Palace 我们的会长 Dr. Gary 呢会送上价值100块的现金voucher 给你去享用。它的店是在这个 Hatamas 的 rooftop 的这个 Chucky Palace， 所以请你赶快在 comment 那边写上 I love Chucky Palace，I love Chucky Palace， 那还会送上10个人的这一个cash voucher 给您去享用的。所以现在马上就来放 hashtag I love Chucky Palace。
Well,
好，等待你们
Thank you for promoting my outlet, man. I didn't expect this.
Of course, we must. As a media partner of MRCA. Actually, Asia Success Media Group is one of the media partner of MRCA. So actually, we have with MRCA also we have a very long-term relationship. Also, always thank you for our president, Dr. Gary, always invites Asia Success to take part of your event. So I like CEO night, I like the MRCA CNY, I like the media night so much. So next round open already. Must invite Asia Success. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are go back to the last questions that 疫情中和疫情后世界会变得如何？很多人都在想。现在的疫情会怎么样？疫情后呢会怎么样呢？ So Dr. Sri Gary, just share with us during the MCO and after MCO, how the world will change. How the world will change. Okay, just brief us how the world will change or some world economics. Thank you.
First of all, look at the world political scenario. Now, this pandemic has become very political. Looking at America pushing for inquiry by all the countries, you see, asking Europe, Australia, and so many other countries to push for inquiry. I think that is political, very political, because this is something fearing the rising of China. I think that is quite unfair. To me personally, I think it's a bit unfair. We should look at this pandemic as something should be a worldwide efforts to fight it. We should fight the virus, not fight among ourselves. So very important that the first thing is to find a vaccine. In fact, every country should come together and work as a common ground to find the vaccine. Now, instead, everyone is working like independently. Australia claimed that I have something coming. Europe claimed that I got something, and China claimed that they have something, and also US. So this is quite unhealthy. If let's say they put all the brains together, I'm sure we can find the vaccine even faster. I'm sure many of them have something already one step ahead, you know. And it's important. This is politically, we should come together as one mankind, not coming as a divided world. And this is not good for the future, because this will create future not only wars but also economic wars, and give a lot of distrust among people around the world. For example, you see some of the Chinese students or tourists in Australia, in England, you know, even US have been sort of pinpointed unfairly, saying that, oh, you are the guys who brought in the virus from Wuhan or from China. And this shouldn't be the case, you see. This is all due to propaganda, basically Western propaganda. And we, in fact, at this difficult time, at this difficult moment, we should support each other. We should empathize each other to help each other, not only in terms of finding a vaccine as soon as possible, but also to help each other economically. I think China has done quite well in the sense of sending a lot of free ventilators and masks and all this. Even Alibaba has played a crucial role there. Those are very good gestures. I'm sure many of the countries after post-MCO would actually build up and sort of recognize and appreciate China's goodwill in this area. That is important. That is one thing on the world stage. But looking at the business sector, you can see that in fact, all the countries will have to invest more in medical supplies or hospitals. So you can see this will be a growing area again, in terms of medical supplies or hospital supplies. This will be another area that those who have big bucks can go into this area in terms of business. This will be what you call that, an important area. And of course, people will be very aware about hygiene. So you will not touching each other so easily, or you won't too near to each other, you know? And if someone were to sneeze, you probably will run away. You see, you get what I mean? And distancing, and you have to wash your hands very often. And even public areas, you do not simply touch the railings or public places. So we have to be very sort of mindful about all these things. Of course, the dynamics of business will change. Many entrepreneurs will fall, especially the bigger ones, and new players will come into play, or the smaller players, or new players will those who have with the financial backing can take over some of these companies and grow it further, even without the experience. They can ride on the current company's expertise. For example, Volvo is very interesting. When Geely took over Volvo was in financial trouble. Geely did not actually, in a way, interfere in their management. They gave them a free hand in the design and all these technical issues. So that is a very typical good example of a good investment. You don't have to hands-on, and you get good returns, because the company knew that they have a lot of good people inside, but the only thing lacking is the finance, and marketing. I think there's two things lacking: finance and marketing. So when you took over, straight away you look at Volvo today, it's so successful. And these are another some of the examples. And of course, even banks, probably there'll be some mergers. You look at HSBC, they already retrenched 35,000 people, and probably more banks will be coming. And more banks may also collapse if, let's say, they cannot take on the NPLs and onslaught of this. Then there could be mergers, or they could be just be gone, like some of the other banks last time disappeared, is it, from the marketplace. These are for the financial sectors, you see. And traveling side, probably people would not travel. People will still travel for holidays and visiting overseas. But in terms of business, I think people will travel less in terms of business, because people a lot of them will be using webinar and probably Zoom and other online and digital sort of instruments for meetings, you see. This could be some of the dynamics, the changes in terms of world dynamics, what you call it, will be happening in the coming years to come.
Yeah, wow, really true for the world perspective. Dr. Sri, there is one question from the Facebook, the friends called Law Kai Ming. I think it's friend of Dr. Sri. They were asking Dr. Sri, do you think that the US economy will downturn during this COVID-19?
Of course, everywhere in the world will be having a big crash, you see. Look at US today. US actually is the biggest economy in the world, holding about 25% of the world economy, you see. So US is a force to be reckoned with, whether you like it or not. Of course, next come China. These two countries have very big appetite for buying of any products. So these two countries are very important. And you look at US today, they're talking about 10% of the population probably jobless now. There are 20 million people are jobless today, applying for aids and help from the government. And this would have telling effects on the world economy, because when you have less propensity to spend in the country, there'll be less orders for all the exporting countries like Malaysia. In fact, Malaysia is one of the major exporting countries. We are a trading country, and we're exporting and trading country. So it would definitely affect our exports. And of course, China, many of the factories when they open, they find that Europe is not ordering, US is not ordering, they have to close it or downsize or retrench people. So these are some of the things happening. So you can't sort of dispel the fact that we are all interconnected now, because everything is global nowadays. Everything you do is global. Any business you do is very global now. So one country will affect the other. Even last time we talked about Kuwait war, when Iraq invaded Kuwait, everybody said, oh, it's so far away, it doesn't affect us. Can you imagine after that, the market crashed? And now, and this time around, you're going to affect all the countries in the world, because oil is down. And those who are deriving income from oil will suffer a very big drastic setback. Like Malaysia, we are depending also partly on commodities, especially palm oil. So palm oil demand also down. So this is another area we have to actually see how to boost it. Be nice to China, be nice to India. These are the two biggest consumers of palm oil. I believe India can buy much more if we are more friendly to India, and China could also buy more. See? And of course, foreign direct investment, we have to give a lot of confidence to a lot of the foreigners that Malaysia is business friendly. We can give you tax breaks, and we have good labor supply. At one time, we have a lot of problem with the labor supply, but now with the new minister and ministry, I believe this will improve a lot, because we have been informed that this will not be future issues as well. So, and of course, tourism, we have to kickstart again. Malaysia, visit Malaysia. We have to talk about not 30 million, we should talk about 40 million visitors to Malaysia, aggressively promote Malaysia. You look at Bali, after the bombing of Bali, it came back, it bounced back within very short period, within a few months. Why? Because Bali did a very aggressive promotion with all the airlines, all the hotels. So everyone flies there, despite the post-bombing, you see. So Malaysia being, in fact, we are one of the safest countries in Southeast Asia now in terms of the pandemic. You look at the number of fatalities. we are only 1% death in terms of percentage of fatalities, in terms of death, compared to US, which is 6%, 5%, and worldwide is 6%. So we are very low in terms of that. So that shows that people should, we should sell that as a very big confidence and boost to the world that Malaysia is safe. You should come and travel, not other countries. Come to Malaysia as a first choice. I'm sure millions of tourists will be coming to Malaysia, and this will give a lot of boost. Yeah, will give a lot of boost to the retail, to the SMEs, and reinvestment. And don't forget shopping. Tourists will spend more than 1/3 in shopping. So this will also boost all our retailers and members. And those are very important factors. We have to be mindful about. The government has to be mindful about this so that we can help the economy in the quickest and fastest way to recover.
Yes. So we target on the Visit Malaysia year 2021 already.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for Dr. Sri, Gary, for the sharing. So of course there is some questions here, but it's the time consumed. Before we closing, so 我们 before 还没有结束之前呢，我们再次的感谢我们线上的朋友，您留到现在哈。那我们刚才送出的这 cash voucher， 我们会选出头10名。放 hashtag I love Chucky Palace 的，我们都会送上这个100块现金券给您去到 Chucky Palace 的这一个 rooftop Hatta Mas 来享用这个晚餐。现在是 MCO 过后，那在此同时呢，亚洲企业10周年庆，我们也一样送出这个1年的这个 digital magazine， 就是电子版的杂志，亚洲企业品牌杂志电子版的杂志，给你1年的订阅，1年的 subscription 免费的。所以也邀请你来 comment 放下 hashtag I love Asia Success， I love Asia Success， 或者你可以打中文，我爱亚洲企业，我爱亚洲企业。那我们的团队会会记录呢，送上1年的这个电子版的这一个亚洲企业送上给您，也庆祝我们这一个10周年庆的这一个活动哈。OK， OK， 这边有另外一个最后一个问题咯，就是 WV Live is mentioned about Dr. Sri, everyone is talking about global recession after COVID-19. Tsunami financial crisis is coming and will affect many SME in Malaysia. How do you look at it? This is the last question. Again, I rephrase.
Yes, I think I got the question. You see, you look back at the 1930s depression. It started in 1929, and it lasted up to World War II, 1939. Why the depression? It was started off as 1929 as a recession, but it was prolonged to become a depression. Why? Because you see, initially a lot of countries they pumping money in the economy, but halfway they thought it's okay, then they pull back, they backtrack. So that's why the thing was prolonged. You see, when you have a sort of shrinking economy, the strongest way and the best possible way is to pump money into the economy. To create economic activities. So when you have economic activities, people have good income, then people will spend more. It's just a vicious cycle. You have to make sure that it's just like the machine, you must have enough oil. You must have enough water, like the fish. So that is during the depression time. And this time, even IMF has said it's not going to be easy. It probably will be a very deep recession. We're talking about negative growth for this year, and probably if we are lucky, we'll bounce back next year. So each country must do their part. It's not just about one country because they're talking about global now, especially the big economies like Europe, China, USA, and ASEAN countries and Australia. These are all the big players, and including Japan. Have to play their part to boost their economy so that. Every country will start recovering very fast and not go into a depression. And of course, during after the depression, they have the World War II, 1939 to 1945, and then a lot of countries they took actually a special bond. A bond means to raise money for the country to spend. So like now, Malaysia also probably need a special bond, a COVID bond or other kind of bonds to pump into the economy to spend the money to make sure that, of course, you have to spend rightfully in the right areas to stimulate the economy. You see? Stimulating the economy is not about relieving. The last few stimulus is, I call it like a relieving, a relief. It's not. It's only a relief. It's not a stimulus. The stimulus is really to stimulate the economy, to boost the economy, and that is something you have to be very drastic. You see? As I mentioned just now, all the factors how to boost the economy. Some of the suggestions I given just now, and those are important factors. Government must take into consideration to have a bounce back of the economy, of the whole domestic consumption. We call it the way to encourage more spending and also investments in the country, so that our economy will remain resilient and strong again from this pandemic.
Yes, yeah, not easy. Hope WV Lai, hope the answer is given to you. All right， 谢谢我们今天 Sri Gary， 我们马来西亚连锁协会总会长Sri Gary 给我们的这一个分享。那希望在座线上朋友你一定可以收获到哦，并且如果你收获到的话，可以把这一个那么好的一个分享，可以就是传播给你身边的朋友，只要你 share 出去给你的朋友一起来聆听。那再次的感谢我们的 Sri Gary， 你可以给我们一个最后的祝福语吗？给我们的企业家祝福语 ，give a wishes 或者是 a positive wishes to all our entrepreneur here. A short one.
Yes, of course. Despite this COVID-19 pandemic, probably this will be the most challenging issue or most challenging problem in our lifetime, you see. So hopefully everyone stays strong and pray hard, and hope for the best, and everyone will recover. And 祝大家好。
祝大家好 ，yes 的，就是那么最后一句话，祝大家一定要很好，因为如果你没有很好的健康，你没有很好的一个思维的话，等你这个 MCO 开了过后，你就很难就做不到了。所以呢，在这边呢，我们就是要祝福大家一定要身体健康，然后思维满满，正能量满满，我们才能抗疫抗掉这一个疫情，对不对？所以呢，在座的线上朋友们，再次的感谢您来收看我们今天这一个亚洲企业共享正能量，也感谢我们的 Dr. Sri Gary 在线上为我们大家做这个分享哦。在此线上的朋友们，大家晚安。我们明天还有一场星期三8点半，我们就是来谈的是抗癌防疫，你我开始。希望您一起来关注我们。在此的谢谢你们。再见 Dr. Sri Gary。
再见，谢谢。Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. It's our pleasure. It's your success.